Good morning. I am Sharzat Morgan. I am here with another video about the decline in female sexual desire in long-term relationships. I am going to start with a clip from Chris Williamson where he's interviewing Alexander, who goes by DatePsych, who is a master student, and he does a lot of research on attractiveness and relationships and dating. So I think it's really good to look at research and get facts. So let's just hear these statistics, and then I'll be back on the other side.
Decline in sexual desire by relationship length in men versus women. So this is men first and women second, and this is the decline in sexual desire by relationship length. So under 1 year, 13% men to 21.5% women. 1 to 5 years, 15.3% men, 28.5% women. 5 to 15 years, 14.9% men to 39.8% women. So that's actually gone down a little bit for men. And then 15 plus years, 16.1% for men to 40% for women. So it seems like women kind of top out within that 15-year age range and that men have still got a little bit more to go. Why do you think that this is the case? We would have presumed, from first principles that a man's desire for sexual variety would have led him to be more libidinous and look to stray from his ever-aging wife. Why is it the case that women's sexual desire seems to decline more quickly and higher during a relationship?
Well, that's a very good question. Part of this can probably just explain by something like the libido gap, that there tends to be a large difference in libido, in desire, at the very, very outset for men and women. But over time, that's something that can contribute probably to divorce as well and to relationship satisfaction, this big decline in libido over time.
Okay, so he attributes this decline to the libido gap, and I know that they're going by research, but I have given this so much thought because I was married 25 years and I struggled with maintaining my sexual desire during those years. Even once went to see a therapist to figure out what happened to it. And I really wanted to have like a really good relationship with my husband, and it bothered me that our sex life was so lacking. And in the beginning, I desired him so much. So what happened? And I have seen this. I'm going to give you guys now what I think it is, but then we'll continue with them because they're going on studies and they don't really know. You're going to find out by the end of this video that they don't really know. And I don't know either, but I'll tell you one thing that I've seen among other couples and having done threesome with couples. Initially, when you meet someone, the attraction is very strong, and people often report that they will have sex 5-6 times a day early in the relationship. Like there's so much sexual attraction, okay? And that will last 6 months to 2 years, and it will naturally wane off because in the beginning of a relationship, you're so into each other. You're not getting as much sleep, you're skipping the gym, you're not as focused on work. It's like a bonding period. They also call it new relationship energy. And every relationship is going to have some new relationship energy. And then you go back into your regular life. Okay, that's just the cycle of life. But some people maintain their sexual attraction, some don't. As a side note, I know a woman who was married over 15 years when I knew her, and she said every time her husband touched her, it was like electricity went off in her body, like they just had this energy. I think that's pretty rare. But usually what happens is initially, because the attraction is so strong, people will have a lot of sex with each other based on that attraction, but the man is not necessarily good in bed. So to me, that is a huge factor. That was also the case with me. Like I was so attracted to him that I desired him, and I was constantly wanting him sexually the first few years, but he was not good in bed. And already by the time we got married, I already didn't like the sex and I was unhappy with it and talking to him about it. But he didn't care, and I thought, well, maybe it'll get better after we get married. Maybe it'll get better after I have his children. And it didn't. So that's just something that people have to realize. Just learn from my mistakes, okay? But my libido declined towards him because he was so bad in bed. And I will go more into what is bad in bed at the end of this video. But I think that is a huge factor for women. They're going to go into this too, actually, in the second part. Let me just say what they're going to say. In the second part, which I'm going to show now, they go into some other theories as to why women's desire decreases. They say, you know, it could be that the people are not as attractive as they're aging. But I don't agree with that because the libido gap with women already shrinks significantly between year 5 and 15. It's already shrunk a lot by year 5. And the average age of marriage is mid-20s or 30, so I couldn't think of that. But I think his point of lower sexual satisfaction for women is the big one. And let me just play that clip, and then I'll be back on the other side.
Yeah. Certainly, another explanation that I think is a bit more intuitive is that when you look at decline over a very long period of time, like 15 years, so we're talking about people that are married, and the average age for marriage is about 30. These are people that, when you see that peak of decline, we're looking at people who are about 45 years old. By the time people are 45 years old, certainly not only has a lot of the novelty in a relationship worn off, which may or may not matter, but a lot of people aren't taking good care of themselves at that point, you know. Obesity crisis, people have gotten older, they're less physically attractive. Libido for men and women both goes down with time, and some of that could just be due to kind of that general aging process as well over time. Because certainly
it's interesting to me that it's just so much higher. You know, women double even from year one, where you already can factor in that base rate of women's lower the libido gap. It doubles for women, and for men it increases by like 20%.
It goes down. It does. It goes down a lot. And certainly a single good explanation, I don't know if it exists. Something else to consider as well is that women in general have lower sexual satisfaction, as you mentioned, as far as orgasms as well. Certainly something like the orgasm gap. And if you're already starting out at kind of a low place, it can drop a lot to zero without a problem. If you're starting at a higher place, that might be enough motive to kind of continue with sexual behavior and to seek it out, even if the sex isn't that good and you're a man. Say you start at, you know, you report, I have 90% sexual satisfaction, and then it drops down to 70, and it's like, well, whatever, the sex, you know, at least I still get off. For a woman, it might be like, I didn't get off that much, and now this thing is just an ordeal and a chore, and it's something not only that I don't get pleasure from, but that is actively disagreeable to me. And so maybe that can explain some of that big drop as well.
Because disgust sensitivity for women is significantly higher, and as soon as you drop through a particular threshold from that, sex goes from, I imagine, William Costello said, sex to men is like pizza. There is good pizza and there's pizza. There is good sex and there is sex. Whereas to women, there is such a thing as bad sex. To men, there isn't really not such a thing as bad sex unless you descend into some ninth circle of hell after a night out.
Okay, so I think that Alexander really nailed it when he talked about the lower sexual satisfaction and the orgasm gap. And the sexual satisfaction is actually more important because many women have reported to me, and I feel this way myself, that we don't need an orgasm for good sex the way that men do. Good sex is about how we feel, and we don't want an orgasm every time. At least not all women. I don't know if there are any ladies that want an orgasm every time. Leave your comment, but it's more about, am I enjoying it? And women have lower sexual satisfaction, orgasm aside, during sex than men do. It's true. And that's because most guys are not that good in bed. That's why. I could make sure a woman had good sex every time I fucked her. I'm pretty sure I could. Because I understand what I like and what women need. But also what they said in that clip, and then I'm going to bring in a third man, William Costello, who's also, he also does research. And he does a lot of research on incels, actually, William Costello. That women have a higher disgust sensitivity. So a man, when it comes to sex, a man is like, well, I'll have really good pizza or I'll have pizza. Whereas a woman will go, if I don't like the pizza, I don't want any. So that women would rather go without sex and have bad sex. And I think that's what men really, really need to understand. That just because you're horny doesn't mean that she's going to like the sex you're giving. Because a lot of guys can just easily get off just doing a little bit of this. But a woman's not going to orgasm or get pleasure from just this. There's a lot more to it. And that's the fun thing about being with a woman, that you get to enjoy the whole process of staying engaged with us, staying in relationship with us, and tuning into us. So what I have observed, that the men who are really bad in bed, they're very mechanical in their sex, and they just make it physical, and they're not tuned into the woman. So in order to have good sex, you have to have empathy. So you have to like the woman. You have to enjoy pleasing the woman at the same time that you're sexually independent, like not a people pleaser, but you have to enjoy the whole process. You have to like women. You have to enjoy turning them on. You have to enjoy pleasing them, and you have to have emotional empathy. People that lack emotional empathy are not good in bed. And that's a big problem with men who are like narcissistic or controlling, or maybe even incels, because sex is about, you got to tune into the other person and see what they like. And I think that a lot of men, if they're not in touch with their own emotions, are not able to tune in and see what the woman likes. Or maybe they're just doing quickies and they don't really understand that the woman's not enjoying it. That, to me, is a big reason that a woman who otherwise likes sex is not going to like it anymore. The guy's just giving her quickies. He's not emotionally attuned to her. And then, of course, there are relationship issues. I have a whole post on my website, thetreasurewithincoaching.com. You can go there and find it. Actually, I'll link it in the description, of all the other factors that I've come up with as to why women do not lose their interest in sex. But by year 5, I think a big factor is that the guy was never good in bed to begin with. She liked the sex with him because she's so attracted to him and all the novelty. But when the novelty wore off, all she's left with is the kind of sex he's giving her. And it's not good. He doesn't care about her orgasm. He doesn't want to be emotionally attuned to her. He's not giving her attention between any kind of relationship affection. He just sees her as this object that, he can just fuck for his pleasure, or that cooks for him. So all these different factors are going to make women not want to have sex. And also if the guy, it becomes a people pleaser, he's not attractive anymore, because sexual attraction is different from love. Desire is different from love. Like, I can love someone. That doesn't mean I'm sexually desiring them. So sexual desire needs a bridge to cross. Like, I want you. So you have to be wantable. You have to be fuckable. Okay? And men are not that picky. They'll fuck almost anything. I'm exaggerating, but pretty much every woman can get fucked if she wants by almost any guy, pretty much. But women are very selective. So what's going to make me want you? And the things that the guy did to have the woman want him in the first place, that he's got to have a backbone. He can't be a people pleaser. He's got to have stuff going on outside the house. He's got to be like an individuated, like, warrior type, to be desirable sexually. Like, if you're just laying around the couch eating potato chips and playing video games, you're not very attractive. And I think that's a lot of what guys do. You gain a few pounds, you walk around the house in that old t-shirt, you wake up not looking very good, and you don't necessarily take a shower right away, and you're just kind of gross. And nobody wants to fuck you. Even though we love you, I'll do your laundry, I'll do your errands, I'll make you breakfast, but do I want to fuck you? You look kind of gross right now. I'm just being honest. And then if your sex is just quickies, you give me this quickie, and then you roll over and go to sleep, or you get up and take a shower, and you don't want to take the time to make sure that I'm enjoying myself. Why would I want to do something that's not enjoyable? Why would you have sex with a woman who just chews on your dick? You wouldn't. Okay, so you saw that look of disgust, so that's real. I also have heard reports that people will say that when guys who travel a lot, when they get back home, the sex is really good. So I think absence is really good because, again, sexual desire needs a bridge to cross. And I think it's harder to be attracted to your partner if you're both home together every day, but I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think, or any other tips that you have about maintaining sexual desire past the 5-year mark, how you do that, and what are the things that have made you lose sexual desire for your male partner, because that's what we're really trying to figure out. But I really think it's that the man is not good in bed, and he has stopped being sexually attractive the way that he was in the beginning, where you didn't see him that much, he had things going on, and he's become too domesticated. So I think domestication of the man, where he's just become this people pleaser who either sits around, does nothing, or just does a bunch of housework. So he's domesticated. He doesn't dress up anymore and take you out on fun dates. So he's domesticated, or he's bad in bed. So those are the two things that I think are big factors. Assuming that the woman likes sex and her health is good and the relationship is good and all of that, I think those are the big factors. Domestication, the man allowed himself to be domesticated, and he's not good in bed. She's not enjoying the sex he's giving her. That's what I think, but I'm curious what you think, and I will be back for the comments. On my members channel, I'm going to make a video going into some details about how sex was in my marriage and why I understand this topic so well. But that will be in the members area only, which you can watch if you want, but you don't have to. I keep my members titles very vague because I don't want people to know that are not members what I'm talking about. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will be back for the comments. You guys leave some really, really good comments.